Yeah, and we're on page 67. Siman Chaf Aleph Sif Yud Aleph. We're in the middle of the MISHNA Berura. And there are a few different halachas in this sif. We're in the middle of the second one. The second one is the Shulchan Aruch mentioned that one should not take out the Tefillen Shel Rosh from the bag until he's already placed the Tefillen Shel Yad on his arm. So it's in place. Okay. So up to Sif Kotum Mem Munachas. V'otzolem shetiyeh mehudeket yofe al hazroya v'oz muter afilu kodem she'osa hasheva krichos. So after he's placed it on his hand, on his arm, and he's tightened it on his arm, we mentioned that tightening on the arm, that's the mitzvah of putting on the tefillin, tighten it. The Sheva Kricha is tying it around his arm 7 times, just an extra. The main thing is to tighten it on the arm. Once it's in place, tightened on the arm, then he can take it out, then he can take the Tefillen Shel Rosh out of the bag. The mishnah even brings a machlokes if someone else is allowed to take his Tefillen Shel Rosh out the bag while he's putting on his Tefillen Shel Yad. Right?
For who? For himself or for
someone else for him?
Reuven's putting on his Tefillin. Right? We mentioned that Reuven should not take his Tefillen Shel Rosh out of his bag until he's put his Tefillen Shel Yad on. Can Shimon take out the Tefillen Shel Rosh for Reuven?
For Reuven, not for Shimon.
Yeah. Right. You think that it's an excellent idea. It's saving time. We mentioned that the broch of the Tefillen Shel Yad is covering it goes on the Tefillen Shel Rosh as well. And therefore we mentioned not to make any hefsek. It's very important not to make any hefsek between the Tefillen Shel Yad and Tefillen Shel Rosh. We mentioned even if one's not making a bracha, one shouldn't make a hefsek. Even we mentioned a few different cases where one not making a bracha, one should put on the Tefillen Shel Yad and Tefillen Shel Rosh without any interruption whatsoever in between. So this would seem like an excellent idea, to prepare the Tefillen Shel Rosh beforehand, to have it all ready, take them both out of the pouch, have them all both ready, and to put on the Tefillen Shel Yad immediately the Tefillen Shel Rosh, or to have someone else, so you're putting on your Tefillen Shel Yad and someone else is preparing your Tefillen Shel Rosh, you can put it on immediately to minimize the interruption. Sounds like a wonderful idea, except the problem is that we have this reason that the Beis Yosef brings down Al Pi Kabbalah. It doesn't explain to us the Kabbalistic reasoning behind it. It says that Al Pi Kabbalah one should not take out the Tefillen Shel Rosh from the pouch until the Tefillen Shel Yad is on the arm in place. Right?
You're supposed to set it up in a way that you first, when you open the pouch, so you first get to the Shel Yad, and then you get the Shel Yad. So that means it's supposed to be, let's say,
if you go in halfway, you can only take
Here we're discussing something else. Here we're talking about someone who has a good idea. If he puts on the Tefillen Shel Yad, then what's he going to do afterwards? He's going to take the Tefillen Shel Rosh out, undo it, take it out of the box. That takes a few seconds. Right? This way, he can, if he prepares it beforehand, takes them both out of the box beforehand, it's going to save time. So maybe you can do it that way. So we mentioned 2 reasons why not. First of all, there's a problem with which is that if you prepare them both, that means you're taking the Shel Yad out of the bag, preparing it, putting it down, then you're taking the Shel Rosh and preparing it. So you're going to have to put down the Shel Rosh in order to pick up the Shel Yad again to put it on your arm. So that's Ma'avir ala mitzvahs. And the Mishnah mentioned, even if you can do it in a way that you're not going to be Ma'avir ala mitzvahs, for example, you have both of them in your hand at the same time, or someone else prepares it for you, even that one shouldn't do, because the Beis Yosef says, Al Pi Kabbalah, one should not take the Tefillen Shel Rosh out of the bag until the Tefillen Shel Yad is placed on his arm. So even though it's going to cost him time in
the bag.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Okay, but we learned then. So about we learned about the bag. So it's supposed to be when you open the zipper. So you first get to the Shel Yad. So what does that mean? That when you open the whole zipper, you get the Shel Yad? Because when you're opening the zipper, while you're opening it, you first, and this part is already open before you finish opening it. So as long as Shel Yad be here, or should be here?
Well, it says, we haven't got to that halacha yet. It says,
I usually open it halfway. It
says, we haven't got to that halacha yet. It says the Tefillen Yad should be on the right, because when you stick your right hand in, you get to the.
So when you go this way, from left to right, so you're getting to the When you open the full zipper,
You open the pouch, and then you put your hand in, you take the white one out first. It should be on the right.
Really pass the shalosh on the way, but it doesn't matter. If you open the whole shaliad, the whole zipper, you get the shaliad.
You're saying
Yes.
if you're opening a zipper,
If you
then you're going to pass
Really,
the tefillin shalosh.
while you're opening it,
Right.
you're like kind of
You're
bypassing.
passing the shalosh. Right.
That's
are you able to?
He's saying still it should be on the left. Lamaisa, the shaliad, he's saying.
It says the shalosh should be on the right.
Sorry, on the right.
Because then you get to it first. But you're asking an interesting question. Now that we have zippers,
You said we have a string, a drawstring, where you as a drawstring when I was younger. But that is
Right, that's a different story, right? Then it's caution.
got to open half a drawstring.
But also, it's very hard to get it out if it's only half open. It's not that easy.
I'm like, I don't know, I got in the habit.
You have expertise with it.
Yeah,
Okay.
just,
okay, it's interesting. Right?
Practice,
Something to think about. So by the time we get to the halacha, we'll have an answer for that one.
If the zippers are completely
What
again,
if the
like,
person
transfer
opening
away,
it is not yet bar
Right,
mitzvah?
right, that's true.
Yeah.
That's to say, your son. It's
Yeah.
not an unusual, you see it in shul,
Yeah.
where a son will help his father while he's putting on the shaliat, take it out for his father. He's not putting on tefillin at all himself.
Right.
He's below that age. Is that
Right, but it sounds like it's nothing to do with the person taking it out. It's to do with the fact that the tefillin shalosh should still be wrapped up in the pouch
Right.
until the shaliad is on his arm. Okay. Let's continue. Okay. Alright, let's move on to the next halacha. The next halacha is the continuation, still in the same seif, the third halacha in this seif, and we haven't read it even in the Ramah yet. So let's go back up to the Ramah. Yesh Misha Kosav, it's the last line of the Ramah, the middle of the line. Yesh Misha Kosav, Laniach Sheliad Meyushav V'Sherosh Me'umad. Some say that you should put on the sheliad sitting down and the tefillin shalosh standing up.
Wait, where are we?
We've now just turned the page onto the top of page 68.
Membet?
And,
Okay.
sorry?
12.
A sieve cut in Membet?
No, we're back up to the Ramah.
Oh.
We're on the Ramah. Back up to the Ramah. Read it again. The bottom line of the Ramah. Yesh Misha Kosav, Laniach Sheliad Meyushav V'Sherosh Me'umad. You should put on the sheliad while sitting and the shel rosh while standing. We know you have to put both of them on standing up. Ashkenazim. Says the MISHNA Berura Cotton Man. Based J. Muhammad. I'm the Mogravam Sheritz Lachria. The Hanocha Sheliad Tiyah Meyushav V'Brocha Tiyah Ba'amida. The Mogravam said that one should put the sheliad while sitting down. The brocha should mean they're standing up. Meaning, when I said the brocha standing, sits down and then puts on the sheliad. Aber Eliyahu b'shem Rishal b'tshuvas emtzadiches kosav the milon negodol mirash mikinoi achar shalomat kabolo ha'mispala ketzinei ben yomer demisha lo yochoi lahasik soido al nochon yovei lekatzitz benetiz. He's giving a warning that this is all based on Kabbalah, the fact that one should do it while standing up. And he's saying that the expression of Yovei lekatzitz benetiz is someone who doesn't understand Kabbalah correctly and can come to the Kabbalah is compared to a paradise, an orchard, right? And the Gemara talks about four who went into the paradise. Four who went into the orchard. And it's talking about going into learning Chochmas Kabbalah, and someone who doesn't understand it correctly can make errors, and therefore it's compared to lekatzitz benetiz, to chopping down the trees of the orchard. So he's warning us that it's based on Kabbalah, the reason why we do it standing up, and therefore we shouldn't give logical reasons that one should do it this way and put it on and say the bracha standing and then put it on sitting, because it's based on Kabbalah, and therefore it's coming to lekatzitz benetiz, to chop down the trees of Kabbalah. Okay, you have bracha v'hanocha ba'amidos. Therefore, one should put on the bracha, say the bracha, and put on the tefillin while standing. Okay, so that's what we do. That's Ashkenazim. Al kain ein lozuz me'aminag. One should not change from this minhag. Okay, let's continue now. So these two last halachas were both based on reasons of Kabbalah, right? Not to take out the tefillin shel rosh until after the tefillin shel yad is in place on his arm, and to make the bracha and put on the tefillin shel yad while standing, and the tefillin shel rosh. Okay,
Do we treat them as halachas when it's based on Kabbalah?
Yes.
If it's brought down in Halacha. If it's brought down in Halacha, then we treat it like Halacha.
Yes, yeah. The Mishnah will continue. We're not going to continue, and the Mishnah will continue now with klolim of when we follow Kabbalah and when we follow if there's a contradiction between Kabbalah and the Gemara, what to do. No, that's not. Let's move on to if your base. Sifid base. Back up to the Shulchan Aruch. In meniach tefillin kama pa'amim bayoyim. Tzorich levorich aleihem b'chol pa'am. If he puts on tefillin a number of times during the day,
Someone who learns something tefillin on.
that's good. Someone who learns tefillin on. If he puts on a few times, then he has to make a bracha each time. Nishmetu mim koimo. Similarly, if they slipped out of place, then one has to, and one was putting them back in place. He should make a bracha when putting it back in the right place. So says the Shulchan Aruch. We're going to see in a minute if that's what we're supposed to do. Hagor says the Rama. If only one slipped out of place and he's putting one of them back in the right place, then he makes on a bracha as if he's only putting on one of the tefillin, right? Which is, we'll see, we'll get to it soon. If he's putting on just the tefillin shel yad, then he makes just lahoniach tefillin. If he's putting on both the tefillin shel yad and the tefillin shel rosh, then he makes two brachas. If he's putting on just the tefillin shel rosh, then he makes both brachas. Okay. Hizizam im koimam adata lachzira. If he moved them out of place in order to put them back, miyad, he took them off in order to immediately put them back on, then he needs to make a bracha. Hagor, says the Rama, and this is very important to us because we're going to follow the Rama, says the Rama, in this case one should not make another bracha. Okay? That's enough, it's quite a long sif. Let's stop here. Let's see the MISHNA Berura, and afterwards we'll continue with the Shulchan Aruch. Okay? So the Shulchan Aruch mentioned that if one puts on tefillin a number of times during the day, one makes a new bracha each time. Similarly, if they slipped out of place and he's putting them back in the right place again, he makes a new bracha. And also, if he removed them in order to put them back on, also one makes a new bracha. In all three cases, one makes a new bracha. The Rama said on the last case, let's see, we're going to see in the MISHNA Berura if it's just referring to the last case or not. The MISHNA Berura says one should not make another bracha. In which case exactly is the Rama talking about when he says that one should not make another bracha. So let's see the MISHNA Berura.
Yud Beis?
The MISHNA Berura says Kosan Mem Gimel. בכל פעם, אפילו אם כשסילקון הידעתו להחזיר תכף. ואפילו אם לשינו מקום מכלל בינתיים. According to the opinion of the Shulchan Aruch, even if one didn't move to a different place, and even if he had in mind to immediately put them back on again, even so, he would now need to make another bracha. On this, the Rama is choyle. So the Shulchan Aruch holds in all cases one makes a new bracha on the tefillin. The Rama says not to. We have to clarify more exactly what the position of the Rama is. Wenn beshas brocha hayadatu shachar kach yisal kem v'yachzav yanichim muchach m'dagavim v'amog navrom le'el simin chesed chesed zayin to l'kol am yisaf nachzav v'ach. The only case that the Shulchan Aruch would agree that one does not need to make another bracha is if at the time when he made the actual bracha, the first time when he made the bracha, he had in mind he's going to remove them and put them back on again, and he's having in mind now to cover the second time he's putting on his tefillin. That's the only case where the Shulchan Aruch would agree that one doesn't make another bracha. If at the time of the original bracha he had in mind he's going to put on tefillin a number of times. Says the MISHNA Berura Kod Mem Dalid. Now we're going to get closer to what we need to do ourselves. Nishmatu Kosaf Shlo. The Shlo writes, Hodoloi Nehiki Ho'ivne Levorich Kishenishmatu Mimkoimon. Mishum de B'shas Tefillo Mistam Eine Mesech Dato Mehem. The reason why nowadays we're nohig not to make a bracha if they slipped out of place and he's replacing them in the correct place is because we wear them during tefillah, and during tefillah he's always thinking about his tefillin, and therefore it's similar to taking it off with the intention of putting them back on. Meaning there's two steps. The Shalah is telling us that the minhag nowadays is even if they slipped out of place and one's putting them back on, one does not make another bracha. Now what's the rationale? Why is that? two stages. Number one, we have the Ramah, who says that if one removes it with the intention of putting them back on, one doesn't make another bracha. That's step one. Step two is, nowadays we wear them just during davening. During davening, one's always thinking about one's tefillin. The whole time one's thinking about one's tefillin. And therefore, if they slip off during davening, it's comparable to the case where he's taking off with the intention of putting them back on again, because he's continuing thinking about his tefillin. So therefore, if they slipped out of place and he's putting them back in place, one does not make another bracha. Okay? In cases where if there's someone who wears tefillin, even not during davening, even till midday, the people who wear it the whole morning, then if it slips out of place, one should make another bracha. So only during davening that one, if it slips out of place, one doesn't make another bracha. If one wears it the rest of the day, then if it slips out of place, one would have to make another bracha. The Chaya Odom says that one can make another bracha even during davening if it slipped out of place. However, the final psak of the MISHNA Berura is the MISHNA Berura prefers that we make less brachas. There's no reason to make a bracha in this case, therefore one shouldn't. One should go like the shloh said. If it slipped out of place during davening, one does not make another bracha.
Rechoishes for bracha she'ein tzricha.
Yeah. Okay. Fine. Let's move on. Let's look at MISHNA Berura Kotten Mem Zayin. Let's go down to Mem Zayin. Okay. Four lines from the bottom. We're going to start from the third line of Mem Zayin. Vim lo yoyo. By the samach in parentheses. There's a samach in parentheses. 4 lines from the bottom. There's in the middle of the line. There's a samach in parentheses. Just before that word, just before the samach says the word v'im. Vim lo yoyo b'dato lachziru miyad rak l'achar zman. אפילו אחר כך לושן תכף, או שבדעתו להחזיר תכף, ואחר כך נשתו הדובר, ויסיח דעתו בינתיים, לכל עם הסוף להחזיר לברך. If he removed them, and he didn't intend to put them back on straight away, he intended to put them on later, or not at all. And then afterwards he changed his mind and he put them back on. He took off his tefillin, and then he decided, I'm going to wear them a bit longer. Maybe he decided that he needs to leave davening, and he needs to catch his bus, his train, he needs to leave, for whatever reason he needs to leave early. He takes off his tefillin, and then he decides, no, he's going to stay a bit longer. He's going to put his tefillin back on for whatever reason. He's missed the train, or someone calls him, tells him he can stay, puts his tefillin straight back on. In that case, when he took off his tefillin, he did not have intention to put them back on again straight away, either not at all or after a long time. In that case, even if he immediately changes his mind and immediately puts them back on, according to everyone, he has to make another bracha. וכן אם חולצון נכנס לבית הכיסא, אפילו הוא יודעת ללושן תכף, צריך לברך בכולה עלמא. So אין רשאי ללך בבית הכיסא. Similarly, if one went into the bathroom, one's not allowed to go in there with tefillin, and therefore, right? Because one's not allowed to go in, it completely disconnects him from the previous putting on of tefillin, because he's now in a place where he can't wear tefillin. It's a complete disconnection from the previous mitzvah putting on tefillin, and therefore when he comes out he has to make a new bracha when he puts his tefillin back on. Similarly, if he needs to pass wind, which one may not do with tefillin on, therefore he has to take off his tefillin in order to pass wind. Again, it's a completely severs the connection with the previous putting on of the tefillin, and therefore he has to make another bracha. Okay? Okay, so we're going to stop here, we'll continue tomorrow. So we saw that, according to the Ramah, and what we saw in the Shloh is the Ramah says one does not put on tefillin if one takes them off with the intention of putting them back on again straight away. The Shloh said, and the MISHNA Berura paskin in that way, that similarly if it slipped out of place during davening, also one does not make a bracha when putting it back in the right place. We saw 2 cases where one does make a new bracha, which is if he took it off with the intention of not putting it back on, even if he changed his mind and put it back on straight away, he would have to make a new bracha. And we saw another case that if he took it off because of something where he can't wear, a reason why halachically he can't wear the tefillin, in order to pass wind or go into the bathroom, again, that severs the connection to the previous putting on the tefillin, he would need to make another bracha.